Welcome back to another Sunday prep day. If you're new here, every Sunday I prep for the week. So I cut all my vegetables, and today I'm also going to make some deviled eggs. So I'm just going to get some eggs going in the pressure cooker. I'm going to make a tahini sauce. I'm going to make some guacamole, and I'm going to make some pickled onions. So just have a couple of eggs here. I have my basket in my Ninja Foodi, and now I'm just going to add some water and the pressure cook lid. I'm going to make sure the valve is closed, then put that on pressure cook high for 5 minutes. So you want to do 5 minutes on high, then 5 minutes, just leave it in there with the lid on, natural pressure release, and then you release the steam, take them out, and cool them down in some water. So, by the way, it will take more than 5 minutes in the pressure cooker, even though I say 5 minutes because the pressure cooker needs to come up to temperature first, so it will take a little bit longer than that. But yeah, let's just get started on vegetables. I always cut my vegetables first, and then I make the other things, like I said, the tahini sauce, the guac, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm gonna just dice up this onion for some guac and a salsa. And while I cut this up, I'll go over my menu. So, for lunch today, not sandwiches for a change. Usually I have sandwiches on Sunday, but I bought some gyoza. So I'm gonna have some gyoza for lunch. If you're new here, I'm diabetic. I have to cut carbs, so I don't usually have carbs for lunch, except on the weekend when I have my cheat days, so that usually means sandwiches, but I found some gyoza at the store yesterday on sale, so I decided to have those instead. Then for dinner tonight, I still have about half of a celeriac or celery root left over, so I'm going to use that up. I'm going to make that into some celeriac mash, and I still have some snow peas left from last week, so I'll do that, and I'll have that with some chicken. I took some thighs out of the freezer, so I'm just gonna make those in my Ninja Foodi. I'll bake them with some spices. So that's one diced onion, and I also need some sliced onions. So then we're on Monday, Meatless Monday. So for lunch, I'm gonna have those deviled eggs that I was talking about. And then for dinner, I bought some falafel, and I'm going to do some falafel wraps with the tahini sauce, cucumber, some lettuce, and some pickled onions. And that's one of the things I need to slice up this onion for. Then we're on Tuesday, so for lunch, I'm going to do some chicken skewers with some broccoli. And I'll just grill those chicken skewers. In case you're new here, I use my Ninja Foodi almost every day. I love that thing. So, then for dinner, I'm gonna make some chicken quesadillas. So I'll do chicken, I'll do some peppers, onions, garlic, chilies, and I'll serve that with some guac. Mainly because yesterday at the street market, they were very cheap. So I thought, why not? I don't get avocado very often. And if you saw my grocery haul yesterday, I said I thought I bought an avocado, but I couldn't find it. Well, it was in the bottom of my bag. I checked the bag again after I put everything away, and it was right at the bottom in a corner. So I did have that avocado. But yeah, it was also quite ripe, so that's why it needs to be used up quickly. So I thought, what better than to do some guacamole with my quesadillas. So I'm doing 4 red onions total. I put 3 in the list of all the ingredients that I'm prepping, but as you can see, these are tiny. So I'm actually doing 4 because that's what I had. So that was Tuesday, then we're on Wednesday. I still have a little bit of cauliflower left over, enough for 1 portion. So I'm gonna do some cauliflower. I haven't decided yet if I'm just gonna do regular cauliflower or if I'm gonna do cauliflower mash. But I'm gonna have that with some chicken. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some pasta with some bacon and lots of veggies. And I'll probably use some chicken stock as well for flavoring. So then we're on Thursday, low carb stir fry. I'm gonna use broccoli stems instead of something like rice or noodles. And I'm not turning them all the way into broccoli rice because that's just way too much effort for me and I don't really care enough. So I'm just gonna cut it nice and fine. I'm gonna have that with chicken and just all kinds of veggies. So I'm just gonna cut up some garlic for a bunch of things. I need this for my tahini sauce, I need this for my pasta, for my quesadillas, for salsa, my guacamole, my stir fry. So I'm just gonna chop up a bunch. And then we're on dinner for Thursday. If you saw last week's video, you saw that I made a curry paste. And I still have some left over because I made a big batch. I always do. So for dinner, I'm gonna make a chicken curry. So I'll probably add some peas to that I have in the freezer, or I think I have some spinach in the freezer as well that I can add. So, and I'll just use the curry paste that I had left over. You could buy your own curry paste. I just like making mine. So it'll take hardly any time at all. And then we're on Friday, Fish Fridays. For lunch, I'm gonna do some salmon with some broccoli. And then for dinner, I'm gonna do some fish tacos. So I'm gonna make a quick salsa with that, like a pico de gallos kind of thing, but I'm not a big fan of raw tomatoes. So instead of that, I'm gonna do peppers, some diced pepper. So same kind of vibe, but not quite the same. So yeah, that's everything for this week. Should take me about half an hour, plus time to wait for the pressure cooker maybe. And we'll just see how we do on time. As always, on my little remote for my camera, I do have a timer. So when I'm done chopping, I always give the time that has passed. So if you want to make all the things and prep to, you know roughly how long it takes. And you can decide for yourself if it's worth doing. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now and just get these garlic cloves done. And next up, I have some peppers. So I'm just going to cube these up. They're going to go in my guac, in my salsa, in my quesadillas, in my pasta, in my stir fry. So I have two, a red and a yellow, and I prefer these, I think they're called Anaheims, just because they're smaller and easier to cut, and because they're smaller I can much easier use them instead of one big one. I can use different colors and everything, but it doesn't really matter which kind you get. So for these, just clean them out. I'm going to dice them up. So first, this Anaheim, I'm going to cut lengthwise and then turn it 90 degrees and cube it up. And basically the same with this yellow one. I'm just going to cut it one way first and then turn it 90 degrees and cut it into little cubes. And then next up we have some chilies. Again, for my pasta, for my salsa, for my guac, for my quesadillas, my stir fry. So I'm just going to slice them up. I just have cayenne peppers. Not super spicy, so I'm not going to bother taking the seeds out. And I'm just going to give them a quick slice. Then next up, I have some tomatoes for my curry. You can absolutely use canned, but I prefer to use fresh whenever I can. And I'm just cutting them roughly, so when I cook them in the curry, they'll break down a little bit easier. So you don't have to be too fussed about it. Just get them smaller in any shape you want. Then next up, I have some cucumbers. Actually, one I'm going to save for later in the week because I need to cube that up for my my salsa. And cucumber just does not really last that long after you cut it because it will dry out. So that's the one thing I'm not prepping yet. But then for my falafel, my falafel wraps, I want some slices of cucumber, so I'm just going to slice this one up. And I just like using these Persian cucumbers just because they're nice and small. I don't have to cut up a whole one. They're very flavorful, but you can use like regular English cucumbers or whatever you like. I just have a slight preference for these Persian ones. What shall we do next? Let's do the cauliflower. So this is just enough for one portion that I have left over. And I'll just cut those into bite-sized pieces. Okay, that's for one meal. And then here I have some broccoli. I'm going to cut off enough for 2 portions, which should be pretty much the whole head. And again, this is small enough, bite size, and the bigger ones I'll just cut slightly smaller. And I'll just do that for the rest as well. There we go, that's that done. And then I always save the broccoli stems because they're very nice to use. So the only thing you do is take the little leaves off, and sometimes you have like little remnants of the leaves. I pulled those off as well, like this one. Just pull that off. Oh. And that is the pressure cooker. So the 5 minutes is done for the eggs. Now I'm just going to wait 5 minutes to let the pressure drop naturally before I cool them down. I have some water ready for that already. So these broccoli stems, really, you can cut them down as fine as you want. You can go all the way to broccoli rice, but like I said, that's just way too much effort for me. I don't care enough to do that because I like broccoli stems, but if you're picky about it, you can absolutely just get a grater or a food processor and just grate this all the way into broccoli rice. But I'm just going to cut them fairly fine. The finest I can get with the least amount of effort. And the only thing I'm not using is this very end where it was cut off from the stalk, because that can get pretty dry, like this end. This is all good, just that end you want to get rid of. So I'm just going to do that for both these stems that I just saved from previous weeks. Alright, that is broccoli done. Like I said, I still have half of a celeriac, celery root, whatever you call it in your region. That needs to be used up at some point, so I'm just going to peel this, and then I'll just cube this up real quick. I'll cut it once this way, then that way, and turn it 90 degrees and cut it into cubes. And I'll just boil these tonight and mash them to go with my snow peas and my chicken. With some butter, I'll probably put some garlic in as well. That can go to the side. Then next, some carrot. This has a big bend in it, so it's just a lot easier to work with if I do this. So I want to use this for my pasta, for my stir fry. What else am I gonna do? I'll probably have some with my snow peas as well tonight. So I just want little matchsticks basically, or as close to that as I can. So that's why I cut it into long strips first. And now I have a flat surface, and I can just cut it like that. And then for my snow peas, I just want some little half rings. So I'll do that. And make it nice and thin. I think that's enough. So this last little bit I'll just save for another day. Next up, we'll do some cilantro for my guac and my salsa. So I'm gonna cut off the stems. The stems I'll save for another day. You know, I like saving those for like curry pastes. And I'm just going to cut that up. Somewhat rough at first, but this way I'm setting it up so I can just keep running my knife through and make it really nice and fine. 5 minutes are up, by the way, so I'm just gonna let the steam go out real quick while I work on this mango. Same as with the avocado. They're really cheap at the market, so I thought I'd pick one up as a snack. So I'm just gonna quickly cut these into little cubes inside the peel, and then I will take my spoon and I'll just scoop that out. And this is just gonna be for like a little snack. So I'm gonna do the same with the other half, but in the meantime, I'll just take these eggs out. So I have a bowl of cold water with some ice cubes here. So I'm just gonna dump them in there and let those cool off before I can peel them. And as you can see, they're super easy to peel because one of them, the peel already half came off like this. So that's gonna be light work. But yeah, with those cooling off, I'm just gonna cut off the other half of this mango and do the exact same thing. Just do a crisscross and scoop it out. And this bit around the pith, I always find that really hard to really get into cubes, so I just cut off the skin. And I just eat that as a little snack. And then the last thing for cutting, I have this avocado. So I'm just gonna cut around, twist it apart. Miss it on the first try, but I got the pith out. And I'm just going to get my little pestle and mortar. Just going to scoop out the insides. And we're at 28 minutes, by the way, so that's how long it took to actually chop everything. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt. I'll take 1 lime and juice that in now. A little bit of cumin, just because I like that. And then what else are we going to add? A little bit of our cilantro, a little bit of chili. I'm mostly using red just for the color. And again, red pepper also for the color, just a little bit. And this I'll just gently mash. And if your avocado is ripe, this should take hardly any pressure at all. And you don't want to make it completely mash. You want to leave a little bit of chunks in there. But yeah, just mash this, mix everything in, and then we can just scoop that out and put that in a container and put that in the fridge. And if you don't have a pestle and mortar, just use like a spoon or a fork and just mash that. So that is guac, and I'm just gonna quickly clean things up a bit before we start making everything else. Almost forgot, add a little bit of diced red onion to your guac. Mix that in as well. as I was putting things away, I noticed that I forgot to put that in. Okay, to make the pickled onions, I have a pan on the heat. I have a saucepan because that will make pouring easier later. I'm gonna add some vinegar. This is regular vinegar. You can use rice vinegar, whatever you like. I just have some plain vinegar left over. And to that, you want to add a little bit of water, roughly 50-50, maybe a little less water. So that's on the heat. For these, I'm not gonna use sugar, but I am gonna add a little bit of salt. And I'm just going to let this come up to a simmer. In the meantime, I have a glass jar. This is just a recycled peanut butter jar, actually. And I'm gonna fill that with some of my sliced red onion. The red color from the pickled onions, or the pink, is gonna come from the red onions, not from the vinegar, so you don't have to use like a red wine vinegar or anything like that. You can use a white wine vinegar though. But yeah, it's the color from the onions themselves that are gonna turn them that color. And I'm just gonna fill this right to the top. While my pickling liquid is coming up to temperature, I have some tahini, which is just the sesame paste. So I'm just gonna put that in my little mini food processor. I'm going to add about 2 cloves worth of garlic. And to this, I'm gonna add some lime juice. For proportions, you want about 2/3 of the amount of tahini in lime juice. So I have 3 of these small limes. And then just a touch of salt. And I'm going to blitz this up in my mini food processor. And then I'll just add little bits of cold water until it's the consistency that I like. Just little splashes at a time. And it's nice and thin, just the consistency I like. So that can just go into a container to go in the fridge for tomorrow. And in the meantime, my pickling liquid has come up to temperature. So this is why I use a saucepan, because it's much easier to pour. I'm going to pour that directly over these onions. Make sure it's filled all the way to the top. Just put the lid on and let those cool down. And my camera cut off, so while that was cooling off, because my camera overheated, I just quickly peeled these hard-boiled eggs, and as you can see, after 5 minutes on high pressure and then the 5-minute pressure release, these are absolutely perfect. So I'm just gonna cut these in half and scoop the yolks out. And then I'll add a little bit of salt, some mayo, and normally I would make this with a curry ketchup. I know in America sometimes you use like mustard. I'm gonna use a little bit of peri peri hot sauce. And then I'm just gonna take a fork and mash that all together, which should be really easy because these yolks are perfectly cooked. And I'm just gonna see, I think it needs a little bit more of mayo, just a squeeze to make that nice and smooth. And I just added a little bit more peri peri sauce because I do like a bit of spice. Let's just get that mixed in. I think this is the consistency I'm looking for. One last taste. Nice little kick from the peri peri. I'm going to take 2 little teaspoons. And I'm just going to scoop that right into the egg whites. And that is eggs done for tomorrow. I'm just going to put these in the fridge, and then tomorrow, about half an hour before it's time for lunch, I'll just take them out so they can come up to room temperature. So that includes all the prep for this week. I can now have lunch or dinner on the table in minutes. And if you want to see what I do with all the ingredients, you can check out my Instagram where I post every single meal. Or about once a month I post a video where I show you everything I eat in a day for a whole week. And I'll probably film one, not this upcoming week, but the week after, which includes my birthday. So, yeah, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. Until next time, bye for now.